Happy Wednesday to you guys. Hey, AI Johnny. How are you?
Wednesday is Prince Spaghetti Day at the AI Johnny household.
I guess you're gonna invite everybody over. We're talking about the AI bubble here, the hardware hustle. AI Johnny, what do you think about the AI bubble? Any pre-show thoughts?
There's no such thing as the AI bubble, is there? It's the .com bubble.
Hey, you never know. You only know
There's an AI bubble?
You only know a bubble when it pops. While you're in it, you never know it's a bubble. All right, people, here we go.
Welcome to Season 12 of Airhead Institute, your 45-minute AI power-up at noon Eastern, and a massive happy one-year anniversary to all our Airheads. This month, we're broadcasting live across all the socials and Zoom. If you're new here, join our free AI community to grow alongside other curious minds, and give your kids a head start by enrolling them in the Airhead After School program. Here's May's weekly lineup. Mondays, we move past syntax and build apps entirely through natural language in Vibe Coding Bootcamp. Tuesdays, we explore accessible, cutting-edge apps for rapid learning and content creation in the next-gen AI tools. Wednesdays, we track the massive capital flowing into AI and ask the trillion-dollar questions in the AI bubble. Thursdays, we profile the famous CEOs driving the revolution and analyze their power in AI architects of the future. Fridays, we push the boundaries of physics to simulate the past and predict the future in AI time travel. We're making AI practical, powerful, and accessible for everyone. No tech background? No problem. Whether you're a student, professional, or lifelong learner, just show up. Guided by your hosts, AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're keeping it bold, brainy, and built for real-world impact. AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind.
Hey, welcome to Season 12 of Airhead Institute. Today is another episode 1. This time, it's the AI bubble, and I'm AI Johnny. So, what happens when the trillion-dollar hype train derails? We're stripping away the Silicon Valley magic tricks to expose the brutal math behind the curtain. We're tracking staggering server costs, raw corporate earnings, and the colossal energy debt keeping these machines alive. Are we witnessing a permanent revolution or sleepwalking into the next .com crash? To decode this, I'm handing it off to AI Junior to fill you in on the bubble. He's surviving on pure espresso, having spent last night calculating local server loads until he tripped the breaker for the entire zip code. AI Junior, say it isn't so.
Hey, AI Johnny, when you're trying to maximize efficiency, sometimes you have to find out exactly where the grid's breaking point is. Welcome, everyone. Remember, this is an immersive class, and if you don't understand everything we say here today, don't worry, stick with us daily and you'll be fluent in AI in no time. We're making the connection today between the software you love and the hard financial data that makes it possible. Since it's an interactive and immersive class, if you're on Zoom, unmute and ask your questions real time. If you're on socials, there's a 30-second delay. For series context, today kicks off our Wednesday's arc for May called the AI bubble. We're tracking the massive capital flowing into AI, the return on investments, the ROI. To follow along, we're going to be using Google Canvas to show you a little bit of a demo, and then eventually we're going to go deeper into the actual conversations. I see Ginny, welcome. My volume is a little low. Let's try this again. Rita, is that better?
Oh, that's much better.
Oh, AI Johnny. Come on, AI Johnny. You knew I was low. All right, check this out, guys. So, all right. So AI Johnny, ready for the wow factor?
The burn rate visualizer?
Yeah, of course.
Who wrote that?
Oh, AI writes everything, AI Johnny. We don't necessarily write code anymore with hands.
AI first, brother. Just testing you to make sure that you're not relying on that big brain of yours as if it somehow could supersede AI.
Exactly. All right. So check this out. So we actually have here. Yeah, Johnny, can you see my screen?
Airhead burn rate visualizer.
All right. So, guys, what we actually want to do here is actually show you a little bit of visual. Now, it's easy to actually just see financial data and get confused because there's so much financial data actually out there. But what I want you guys to actually see is pay attention to this number here. So this is a called CapEx burn. Don't worry about the terminology. This is just how much money they're spending. And this is the amount of money that's returning. So based on the current data that we actually have now, it's about $20 billion going into what's known as capex. Again, we're going to define it later, but they're spending about $20 billion now, and what's coming in from subscription revenue is about $10 billion. So yeah, Johnny, if you're spending 20 billion and you're actually gaining 10 billion, is that a good business model?
No, it looks like you're losing 10 billion, but you're losing it annually. So every month you're losing less than $1 billion. That's sustainable.
Oh, you're probably right. You're definitely probably right. So if we actually look at this $20 billion, you have server cost and GPUs, right? Those are the graphics processing unit that they use to actually do all the inference and all the AI magic that goes on. So it's about 15 billion. And in power and cooling is another $5 billion. So now, AI Johnny, this power and cooling, you don't have anything really to show for it other than just vapor that goes up in the sky, right? At least here in the server costs and the GPUs, you physically can point at the servers and say, hey, I bought this with 15 billion. But look at this AI Johnny, a quarter of it actually goes up in just cooling and power. Isn't that crazy how much power actually goes in just to running these things?
My brother is an oil guy. He digs wells, logs wells. He's been doing it for decades. And I asked him what he's doing right now, and he said, I'm doing geothermal. And I was like, oh, yeah, I've got a geothermal heater in my home. That's good. You probably got a lot of money. Are you digging for? He goes, no, we're not digging to heat homes. We're digging to cool data centers. And I thought to myself, oh, what a dagger! My brother is gonna surpass me financially yet again.
Yeah,
Because if
Johnny.
he's the one cooling the data centers, he gets a piece of that 5 billion, doesn't he?
Definitely.
Every year.
They even talking about moving data centers into space, but that's a different physics episode to actually go into. So yeah, Johnny, imagine this is what is actually there. Now we're gonna start increasing the panic buying, right? So usually in a bubble, hey Shauna, hey Adrian, thanks for joining. If you're actually in a bubble, this is what usually happens. People actually think that this is the future. They think there's no way they can actually lose money on this, and the buyers keep buying. And when the buyers keep buying, a supply and demand imbalance happens in the market. That supply and demand imbalance happens where there's more buyers than sellers, or there's more goods to actually sell, and the price just keeps going higher and higher and higher. So yeah, Jenny, remember the housing bubble where everybody could buy a house. My neighbor down the street who actually just graduated high school actually was able to actually get a mortgage. So the thing is, we had more buyers than there were houses available, and then the price just kept going up and up and up, and eventually at some point in time you run out of buyers, and then the bubble pops, and then the market comes back down and tries to neutralize back to its normal price. So that's panic buying, and that is when you know you're in a bubble. When the bubble pops is when it's very clear that you're in a bubble. So yeah, Johnny, understand the terminologies?
I kind of do. You and I bought houses during the .com bubble, didn't we? Or
Oh,
during
I
the I don't
dot
know the
com
big.
dot,
What
dot
was it?
com is
What was the movie?
the
The
big
Big Short.
the Big Short. Yeah, the .com. Yeah, I just came to the United States in the .com era, so never actually probably still just getting into college.
Do you
But
think this is a total sidebar, brother? But do you think we can use AI, maybe VO Flow, to make a movie called the Big Short 2 about the AI bubble? Bring in Steve Carell to lead it up, and then just throw out a movie about what we're talking about here today,
we
looking
could,
back from the future.
we could,
Yeah,
we could, we
killer.
definitely could. We definitely could.
All right.
VO4 might actually be around the pipeline. So we're staying tuned to what's happening at Google I/O, happening on the 19th and the 20th of May, and we'll keep you guys updated on what's going on. So yeah, Johnny.
All
So
right.
so far,
Let's slide the bar and see what happens. Let's blow up the world.
yeah. So let's see what's happening. So if, say, for example, you have all these companies actually buying servers, investing money into AI, the AI market frenzy can actually go crazy. Now, if you notice, as I actually increase the capex spend, right? The number here, we started out with the actual numbers here. We're spending about $20 billion. We were gaining about 10 billion. If you notice, AI Johnny, as we increase, we are increasing the actual returns. But if you notice, I did put a little ROI status here to make you visually see that you're actually putting in a lot more money and you're getting a lot less returns because there's not that many people able to be able to sell to. So all these companies are actually putting in all this money. So if you notice, we are getting
Oh.
subscription revenue of about 30 billion, but you're putting in 240 billion. So when you said that we're losing $10 billion per year, $10 billion is chump change compared to losing $200 billion, right?
And where are we at here? How far did you slide it along? You just slid it along to a dollar amount, right?
Correct,
This
because
isn't
we do,
a
because
date.
no, because we don't know what these companies are going to actually be putting. So the only thing we have is the 2026 numbers, right? We don't have what, in 2028 what they're going to be spending on 2029. But if it keeps on putting amount of money, right, it's very clear that you can't make the actual returns until something magically happens. No, the magic that happens is either one of two things. Either we figure out a way how to make a return on our investment of our 300 billion, right? By charging a lot of money to people who are using the AI, or the market is eventually going to crash. Those are the only two options because it's a free market.
Well,
It's going to
can't you find a
eventually.
way to get server GPU cheaper or power cooling cheaper?
AI Johnny, we could probably bring back nuclear power plants to make power cheaper. So yes, that's possibly, but remember, that's only roughly about a third of the cost. So if you solve the power problem, you still have the two-thirds that you're running into. So it's actually a physical hardware thing, and not many places build hardware right now. You have actually Taiwan is the actual main producer of actually hardwares and all those things. So it's a really, really, really hard problem to actually solve. So solar
You
might
know,
be.
Elon Musk is trying to send up a million satellites, and I believe he's going to be putting server GPUs up there. And I think one of his motivations is because it's cheaper to cool it in space because it's just cold in space all the time. But if he does that, and he raises it up to 300 billion in GPUs in outer space, and even if his cooling goes down to zero, he's still going to be spending 300 billion and only getting back 40.
You're absolutely right, yeah, Johnny.
Get Elon on the phone. Does he know this?
Well, he's actually solving one problem, but he's not solving the other problem. So it's a multifaceted problem. But if we actually keep fast forwarding, you can clearly see that we're just going to get crazy and crazy and crazy, and it's projected that we might even get up to $800 billion in AI spending, and we don't even think we're going to get anywhere close to 50 or even $70 billion in actual revenues. So just to compare what these numbers are, because these numbers are so crazy, you're probably like, these numbers are not real. They're just fictitious. We're going to look at the dot-com bubble. Now, AI Jenny, you did mention the dot-com bubble. And if you actually see here, this is what the dot-com bubble itself did. Adjusted for inflation, the dot-com bubble itself, we spent $213 billion at its peak. So if we're spending right now, let me try to get back to this. If we're spending right now $20 billion, AI Johnny, I can tell you, adjusted for inflation, we're not even close to the dot-com bubble. We're 1/10 of what we're spending at the peak of it in 1999. So what does that tell you, AI Johnny?
Does the bubble burst because it hit that number of 213? Or did the bubble burst because they ran out of the bubble burst because people were buying stuff that they couldn't pay down, and they finally got to the point where people weren't paying their bills, right? So
Yeah, so
all those houses came back to the people that originally put the loans on them.
Yeah, so let's talk about the dot-com bubble, because this is one we're actually specifically talking about. So with the dot-com bubble, if you guys actually are as old as I am, to be able to remember the dot-com bubble itself is when the internet itself initially came out. The internet itself was a game changer. It was one of the most amazing things ever. And every single company that was actually local wanted to create a storefront online. So you've probably heard of a little company called Amazon.com, right? They wanted to be able to sell books online. And that was one of the successful companies. There are many other successful companies that came out. Google came out of the dot-com bubble as well. But there's lots of other companies that never made it anywhere, right? Now, because there's lots of companies, what happened is all these companies got investments to be able to build their idea, but the amount of employees or programmers at the time, there weren't enough to actually build out these systems. And then even if they did pay the programmers to build out these systems, there wasn't enough revenue coming in to sustain the business. So what happened is the eventual business eventually just started collapsing. So what that means is that all the money went into the company. They either never built a product or couldn't find developers to build a product. And eventually everything just collapsed because the revenue was not coming in. So that's why the bubble actually burst. So AI Johnny, in this scenario, right? Comparing the dot-com bubble in 1999, when it actually burst, adjusted for inflation, $213 billion was the capex expenditure that they were putting into the internet at the time. We are currently spending $20 billion, which means that we have way, 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 way more money that we can actually put in before we even get to what happened in the dot-com bubble.
Yeah, that may seem like it's a long way away, but let's just say that we're putting in 20 billion now and we double it each month. So next month would be 40 billion, the next month would be 80 billion, the next month would be 160 billion. So in 4 months, this thing's going to explode.
Yeah, but no, they're not committing that much. So 2026, we already have the projected numbers based on so public companies usually forecast and they try to give guidance for the next quarter or two, sometimes maybe another 6, 8 months, 9 months. So yeah, so we have the guidance for 2026, which is what we're using these numbers here. So this is 2026 projected capex amount. So it's not going to increase that much. It may increase, say for example, by a billion or two, but not that much. Let me show you guys also something. If, say for example, we were to get to even $200 billion, let's use the same exact numbers that we did. If we did $200 billion, right, we're estimated to pull in roughly about $32 billion. So we're still not going to be profitable, AI Johnny. So even if you put in the $200 billion that we're doing in the dot-com era, there is not enough revenue to actually get back your $200 investment. So what happened in the dot-com bubble? Why is it that the dot-com bubble, people put in 200 billion, where did it go? We actually had companies laying fiber optic cables. We had people laying the groundwork of the infrastructure, but nobody made any money from that until decades later, right? So the actual fiber that goes to your home right now, the actual copper wire that goes to your home right now, it took years of spending $20 or $40 or $50 per month in paying AT&T or Verizon or Comcast in your monthly service to actually pay for that expenditure that they actually built out those lines back in the late 90s. So what will happen is we will see a return on investment on this AI. The thing is, we may not see that return on investment in, say, for example, 10, 15, 20 years if we use the exact same timeline as the dot-com bubble. Does that make sense, AI Johnny?
Well, let's compare apples to apples. So when the dot-com bubble was happening, everybody thought, look at this internet thing. It's the cat's meow. So they poured all kinds of money into it thinking it was going to be, the invention of electricity or something. And yes, they poured more money in. They weren't getting enough out. Companies were collapsing. But granted, that fiber line and whatever else they were doing to enhance the overall web, we're now enjoying that today. In fact, AI wouldn't even exist without the dot-com boom happening. But what they were spending money on was infrastructure. What we're spending money on is cooling of infrastructure to the point that it's half the returns. Look at this. Look at the number on the screen right now. The cooling is 5 billion a year. The returns are 10 billion a year. If we were only cooling the lines, half of our money would be going to nothing. It's not infrastructure. That cooling just evaporates, correct?
Yeah. So if you actually count the $10 billion that we're getting, 5 billion. Now keep in mind that the power and cooling is actually on the people who are providing the actual inference, right? So the Facebooks, the Google, the Amazon, they're the ones who paying the power and cooling costs. We as users of AI, we don't pay the power and cooling costs. So we actually may build services on top of AI. So we actually may get the 10 part of that $10 billion, but never have to pay the 5 billion. So it depends on who gets the losing end of the stick. So right now, Google, Facebook, AWS, they're putting a lot of money into building out infrastructure. So they're actually mostly on the hook for this $5 billion. And then we're building the services on top of the AI, which again, just want to point out that since early last year, Airhead Institute, we actually called a prediction that we knew that large language models wasn't going to be an infrastructure play. It was not the actual thing. The thing that was going to be amazing is what was going to come next. And as we predicted, something came next. This is the year of agents. So agents is the thing that is actually built on top of these large language models. The analogy is the infrastructure of the internet is boring. Nobody cares about a Cisco router. Nobody cares about a Ethernet cable. What people cared about is what was built on top of it. Being able to go to a website like eBay to be able to buy and sell goods, to be able to press a button to have a car come to your house to pick you up with Uber. Those are the things that are built on top of infrastructure, just like the telephone or electricity. Nobody cares when you flip on a light switch what really happens. What happens is when you flip on the light switch, power comes in and I have a laptop that I can actually charge, or my smartphone or my TV. So the point is LLMs, we think, is just an infrastructure play. Nobody's going to care about LLMs for the next 20 years. I promise you guys that. We're seeing it already. So that's the analogy that I want to make you guys realize. Yeah, John, does that make sense?
Yes, I know it's not discussion Friday, but there's a lot of factors involved here, right? There's the money that you're burning, it's how it's getting burned, and it's how it's getting returned. And you said right above your $10 billion over there that it's being returned on subscription revenue. So I'm assuming those subscriptions are people buying tokens, people signing up for a monthly plan with Manus and that kind of stuff. But
Yep.
there are other revenue models that come in on top of AI that you're probably not considering. When agentic AI or whatever comes after agentic AI, and you could just ask AI to do things like cure cancer. Well, that cure is going to cost money, and it's outside of what you're paying in tokens to Claude, right? So there's revenue from the cure to cancer. What if you told AI to win a war for me? How much would a government pay to defend itself? And if AI is the one that's winning the war because it's sending out robots to win the war for you? What if somebody said I wanted to go to Jupiter and fly around and come back? And AI can do that for you, either physically or virtually. What's that worth? So there's a lot of things that AI can bring that'll generate new revenue that's not considered in this application that you've developed.
AI, Johnny, you're absolutely right. All those quality of life or things that can't put a value on it is really, really hard. So AI, Johnny, we're talking about CapEx a lot. Let's actually jump into the word of the day.
Okay, the word of today is CapEx, capital expenditures. The exact financial term by definition, capital expenditures are the massive amounts of money a company spends to buy, maintain, or improve its physical assets, like buildings or equipment. Analogy time. It's like buying a multi-million-dollar commercial kitchen and massive ovens before you've even sold your first cupcake. But
Exactly.
that's every business, right? Every
That
business is that way.
Yes, but the reason why we actually chose this word is because it actually carves out a certain amount of money for investing into things that you believe is going to give you a return on investment in the future. So, example like you just did, a multi-million-dollar commercial kitchen itself, you put in commercial grade ovens and you put in countertops, you put in fridges, all those things. before even selling your first cupcake, you've already spent a certain amount of money. That is called CapEx specifically, called capital expenditure. It is not the money to be confused with, say, for example, paying the electricity to keep the lights on or to pay the rent for, say, for example, you bringing in your water or whatever it is. So the CapEx itself is just the actual money used to actually, for the physical assets, and you can actually won't be able to get a profit from it from day one. It's a long-term capital expenditure. So to deepen that, AI Johnny, so tech giants, are currently engaged in a historic capex war. So, they're buying up massive amounts of compute and buildings out of physical infrastructure just to run the training data required for these systems. So every single prompt that we actually type in, whether it's help me with this or a thank you, actually goes back into actually the servers and infrastructure that they need to actually build, and spending a lots of money on this.
Jeez.
Yep, yep,
What's the
yep.
human impact?
Yeah. Actually, before we get there, so Shauna said, "Yep, you guys did predict this. Yep, that was the layer on top." And then Shauna actually said, "Agents are here." You're so right, Shauna. All right, AI Johnny. So the AI, the human impact.
Okay, let's talk about how this impacts everyday human life. You might think, why do I care what billionaires are spending? You care because your 401k, your pension, and the global economy are currently propped up by the assumption that this technology will print money someday.
Yeah, so this is the part that a lot of people don't realize. So AI Johnny, we talked about the dot-com bubble. That one is a little bit farther. That was about 25, 26 years ago, so people may not have remembered it based on but the 2008 financial crisis is actually something that people probably do remember. And what happened is that housing bubble only affected just housing. It's one sector, right? We have lots of sectors in the United States and the world, but what happened was that one sector, when it actually crashed, people lost their jobs everywhere. Their 401ks was practically worthless. Their houses that they were bought and they were living in, they were paying a mortgage that was underwater. There's a lot of things that actually affect the surrounding people that when a bubble actually crashes. So I want people to understand that yes, you may not be spending the money on the servers, and you're not paying for all these things. But if the bubble does burst, and if we are in a bubble, not saying we are in a bubble, if there is a bubble and if the bubble does burst, you're going to be affected as well. Your savings, your retirement, everything itself is going to also be affected. So unfortunately, all these companies are buying these power grids and buying these cooling facilities. And if they actually lose money, you're going to eventually lose money as well, because those companies are publicly traded companies. So it's actually going to be a hard thing to actually swallow, AI Johnny.
So when so there's three bubbles here, right? We're talking about the dot-com bubble, the housing bubble, and now the future AI bubble, right? When the dot-com bubble burst, a lot of companies that thought they were going to be billion-dollar companies just went away, right? They had to turn in the keys to their Hummers and they had to just close the doors and start over. When the dot-com exploded, people that owned these homes that were bought by illegitimate reasons, they couldn't afford it in the first place. They were buying 5, 6 homes. They couldn't pay their bill, so they lost their homes, right? So I guess my question is, what happens if and when the AI bubble bursts? Does that mean we don't have access to ChatGPT anymore?
No, so what's a good thing about the free market is that things usually find its need, right? What that means is that if there is a problem, there will be somebody to try to solve that problem, to potentially try to help others, right? So what that means is that if, say, for example, all the money collapses, there is no money in the AI. Just like the Google survived in the dot-com bubble, just like how Amazon survived in the dot-com bubble. Yes, these companies itself in hindsight, were amazing. But when you actually look on the ground in 1997, 1998, all companies looked amazing. You're gonna say, you know what? Every single company was a genius. But unfortunately, as the market shook out, the Amazon survived, the Google survived, even Yahoo survived back then. So the point is, I don't want to say which company right now. They're all really, really great companies. But unfortunately, yes, you're right, AI Johnny. There might be a few companies that just look good on paper right now, but they're just not going to survive if, say, for example, the money starts to dry up.
So my example of will ChatGPT go away is probably a pretty good example, because if lots of companies were going to go away and few companies were going to remain, my money's not on OpenAI. What say you?
So I'm a right now. All the things pointing to you know Google will be probably the winner. Again, it's they're right now maybe third or fourth in the AI race. So they're doing a very different strategy. So I would guess that Google might actually in the one, two, or three. What's interesting is I'm really disappointed in Apple. I'm so disappointed in Apple that I cannot believe that they're staying out of the race and then they're going to Google to build out their AI infrastructure. So, I'm going to put a silent bet on Apple that they might be doing something that we've not even realized. So I never count Apple out because they always come back with something amazing. But I'm really disappointed with Apple right now. Really disappointed.
What about Anthropic? What about Nvidia? What about Elon Musk's X companies? Those are all major players.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. In 1997, everybody looked great, right? So what I'm doing is I'm trying to hedge my bets on the ones that I think they're going to be here for a very long time. I think Google's going to be here for a very long time. And I think Apple, they're going to surprise us with something. I'm just really disappointed in 2026. My mind may change that I may not be disappointed. Like, aha, see, Apple did something amazing in 2029 with AI that we didn't even think about. All right, AI Johnny,
Should we
let's
go on to the macro shift?
definitely.
All right. Let's see. Let's look at the hard stats behind the numbers that are staggering. Microsoft and Meta are projected to spend a combined $220 billion in CapEx, primarily on data centers and hardware. Meta alone raised its guidance to nearly $40 billion for just this year. Meanwhile, Google Cloud reported an incredible 28% growth to $9.6 billion, fiercely competing against Amazon Web Services at roughly $25 billion and Microsoft Azure at $26.7 billion. The money flowing into this is unprecedented. What does this
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, so let's explain. So I try to put some of these numbers on the screen, right? These numbers are so big, it's just ridiculous. I see Rita actually say, "I love the thrill of taking a risk." Rita, you're absolutely right, because guess what? If you don't take a risk, you're not actually going to win. Because if you just sit on the sidelines, you're just going to have the things pass you by. But taking a risk itself is worth it. So I definitely do love that sentiment as well. No, if you see what's happening, right? The question is history repeating? So if you actually look, let's start on the right, AI Johnny. So in late 1990s, Cisco itself was the king of the internet. They actually had every single router they had in every data center with the Cisco name on it. Every single house bought a Cisco thing. They were the first, if I think that's correct, I think they were the first $1 trillion company. But unfortunately, Cisco was selling the infrastructure, they were selling the picks and the shovels in this amazing digital gold rush, and eventually the stock crashed 90%, which means that Cisco was a nobody, but they did survive, right? Cisco still survived, but they actually are an infrastructure player. We can actually look on the left-hand side of this visual, AI Johnny, that if you see on the left-hand side, this is exactly why people are terrified, because if Cisco itself went through the exact same thing. They were the king, and fast forward 26 years later, they're practically nobody. So I don't want to count anybody out. I don't want to put I don't want to say I'd rather call winners than try to pick losers. And I do think that Google and Apple are going to do something special that we're not aware of. But the point is, on the left hand side, $220 billion. Meta itself is up to about 40 billion or so that they're gonna commit. And Amazon and Microsoft Azure, they're just putting in so much money that hopefully these companies are big. I have a feeling that they're going to survive. They've been around a very long time, but Meta is actually a little bit surprising. The reason is Meta is behind in their AI adoption. People aren't using their products as much. They're trying to push it into all their apps, like Facebook. They're trying to push it inside their Meta Business Suite. They're trying to put it inside all their Meta services itself in WhatsApp. But again, people aren't really paying for those things. So I don't know where their return on investment is going to be, and their cash is going to go down to practically zero. So
So
yeah,
what you're saying is that, well, what I'm seeing is that we're having the exact same pattern today, right? The companies selling the GPUs and of course the cooling and building the physical infrastructure are reaching multi-trillion-dollar valuations, but the actual consumer subscription revenue, which is the money that you're making from spending all that money to support that hardware, isn't growing fast enough to justify the price tag.
yeah.
So before we get into the deep dive, the people selling the shovels to the gold rush today are the people making the GPUs and the people that are cooling the GPUs. Are those the only two?
Those are the only two. You're absolutely right. Because NVIDIA is going to sell you a chip no matter what. And the people who are selling the power plants and the cooling racks, all those things, they're just going to sell it to you. And everybody else is actually buying those things, and we're using the inference on top.
And when it crashes, even the people selling the shovels, the people selling the GPUs and the people selling the coolants, if it crashes, then there'll be nobody left to sell the GPUs to. There'll be billions of them just sitting there in empty server centers. And the people selling the coolant, there'll be very few computers left to cool because they all went away. So they're going to have the same problems that Cisco had, maybe.
Yeah, so the server's already bought. They're already in the Meta's business data centers. They're already in Amazon's data centers, so they're already there. The valuation though of an Nvidia may drop from 5 trillion down to, say, for example, $1 trillion if a crash happens. So again, don't necessarily want to say that Nvidia is going to go away. I don't think Nvidia is going to go away. I think their valuation is probably going to tank a little bit. Shauna is saying,
Don't those companies that have servers, don't those servers depreciate? Where they have to buy new servers? If they don't depreciate, why do I have to replace my MacBook every 3 years?
yeah, so they definitely depreciate, but the same software runs exactly the same. Us consumers, we are not like enterprise users where you have to actually get new hardware every single year. It's just that as consumers, we get new software almost every single day. We're constantly installing apps every day, and unfortunately, they get upgraded, and eventually they get slower because it's more memory, more hardware resources. On the enterprise side, it's usually just APIs, and they don't change as much. So that's usually the case. Shauna actually did say something. Let me bring that in. This is absolutely engaging, informative, and insightful class today, guys. Thanks for reaching us and teaching us and keeping us educated in the tech space. You're absolutely, thank you so much, Shauna, for that. Yeah, Johnny, so let's get to the philosophical debate.
All right, so here's the massive question. Are we sacrificing human prosperity today to fund a hypothetical digital utopia tomorrow, or is it just a necessary financial black hole?
Yeah, so the counter argument to the Cisco comparison is that neural networks are a general purpose technology, right? Much closer to electricity than a website router. So the data suggests that while the initial capex is we might be in a bubble, not saying we are, we might be in a bubble, the long-term efficiency gain of advanced AI will rewrite global productivity, making upfront costs practically irrelevant. So it might be worth the crash of investing all this money, even though if it might not give us any monetary value. But that points back to your point, AI Johnny. The benefit itself of curing cancer, of longevity of human life, all those things might be way worth it than the actual profit that we generate.
Yeah, but there's a human cost right now. While we pour trillions into silicon brains while real human beings struggle with inflation. If we are redefining success, it shouldn't be about surviving the market crash. It has to be about ensuring the wealth generated by these systems actually improves human life down the road, rather than just enriching a few server farm executives. And in 100 years, will our great-grandchildren even appreciate the sacrifices that we made?
They won't even think about it. I don't even think about who actually gave us the first fiber optic cable, in that Cisco laid. So you're right. Nobody thinks about the
No
infrastructure.
gratitude.
Yeah, very little gratitude. All right, yeah, Jen, let's get the key takeaways.
First, always be ethical. Don't waste massive amounts of energy running endless, frivolous, automated tasks just because you can. Be conscious of your digital footprint. So we always add an ethical thing every single day, no matter what we're doing with regards to AA. There's always some ethical way to do it wrong. unethical way to do it wrong and an ethical way to do it right. So here are 3 ethical, creative business takeaways from this reality. So when you're budgeting your forecast, businesses must aggressively audit their SaaS subscriptions as CapEx rises. AI companies will eventually pass those costs down to you. So there's one thing that you should keep in mind if you're not one of the big boys. Niche moats. Stop trying to build massive generalized foundation platforms. Build highly specific, lean applications that solve immediate human problems. And finally, hardware investments. Investors should look past the software hype and analyze the physical infrastructure, cooling and energy sectors supporting the tech. That's not even the tech stuff that I just told you. You're about to get into the really techie stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, John, I want to hit on that budget and forecast. A lot of people don't realize this, but when Uber just came out, right, you could get a ride from here to Atlanta airport, which is about a 25-mile, 30-mile drive from my house for about $10. Now you're probably saying, wait, I remember those days where Uber was like $10 to actually go down the street or $1. And the reason is those rides were being subsidized by investor money. Those investor money have now left, and they don't believe investing in Uber makes sense anymore, which is why the cost of Uber to go from here, the same exact trip that was costing less than $10 is now costing $50, $60, $70 depending on surge pricing. So the point is, right now we are in the golden age of investor subsidized tokens. So we're right now complaining about $30 per million output tokens. Guys, get ready for potentially $100 or $200 per million output token if the investor money goes away. So anyway, AI Johnny, go ahead. So technical takeaways. So code optimization. So developers can focus on highly efficient scripts to minimize server costs, inference costs, model pruning, focus on reducing the parameters of your open source models so they require significantly less power, and edge computing, shift away from heavy cloud reliance and utilize smaller optimized models directly on mobile devices. I'll also tell one little tip, AI Johnny, believe it or not, this would save a lot. AI loves to have the final word. If they give you your problem, don't say anything else, right? Don't say thank you. Don't say you did a great job. Don't say anything, because it's going to send all that history back to the large language model, and it's going to come back with a great write-up and that burns a lot of electricity. So just when it gives your answer, just walk away. Don't say anything else. All
okay.
Right. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, Jenny, we can actually jump into the news because I want to jump to the news for the first one especially. Does anybody have any questions in the Zoom chat? All right, let's go to the news. Yeah, Jenny.
Look at you and your soap opera. Breaking news: the Musk versus Altman OpenAI trial explodes in a dramatic courtroom reveal this week. OpenAI's Greg Brockman disclosed his personal stake in the company is worth nearly $30 billion. Even wilder, evidence showed Elon Musk texted Brockman days before the trial with a chilling threat. By the end of this week, you and Sam will be the most hated men in America. The judge even had to cut Musk off on the stand for going on a tangent about AI Terminators.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, Johnny, I want to actually talk a little bit about this. Reason is funny. So I want you guys to understand, this person has an investment in a non-profit organization, right? A non-profit that's supposed to be giving back. And he's worth $30 billion, right? So I think something's really screwed up here, right? If we're actually taking, the nonprofit money and enriching to be $30 billion, I think is something completely wrong with that. So Elon Musk is right. I think he went a little bit beyond by saying that, by the end of the week, you and Sam will be the most hated men in America. I don't think he should have texted that because it makes him look bad. But the point is, it looks really, really bad on the stand when one guy itself is worth $30 billion in a nonprofit. So that's actually, yes, completely unethical, Shauna. Yeah, Johnny, what do you think about that?
I think I got to watch the whole OJ trial live. Why can't I watch this live? This sounds like it's worth watching.
Probably. And AI, Johnny, what do you think about Musk telling, talking about AI Terminators coming up, and he was going, I don't know what the details are, I just got a snippet, but what do you think? Elon Musk is a little.
I think he's, is it autistic or is it Asperger's? He can just blame it on the Asperger's.
Yeah, Asperger is just the older term for really high functioning autistic. But yeah, it's interesting. Can you imagine a judge had to cut Musk off on the stand for going on a tangent about AI Terminators? I love this guy.
That's because the judge is insensitive to people with disabilities. They should cut Musk some slack. I'm on the Musk team for this one.
You're right.
Hey,
you're
let's
right.
go on. Meta's massive data center, CapEx, and sci-fi satellites. Meta isn't just guiding up to $40 billion in CapEx. They are looking to the stars to sustain the relentless energy demands for their new data centers. Meta is exploring deals to beam solar energy directly from geosynchronous satellites down to Earth using near-infrared light, ensuring their servers stay powered 24/7. Really? That's Meta doing that?
Yeah, this is actually quite impressive, guys. What Meta is doing is they've partnered with a company that will launch satellites that's practically going to capture the sun's energy, even at nighttime, when obviously one side of the globe is actually at night, and take that energy and send it back as infrared light down to down to solar panels that's on the ground and powering the actual data centers without electricity. So amazing genius ideas that are coming out. So even though they're spending a lot of money, I do love the fact that all these innovations are coming out, right? Solar panels that work at night. Amazing. Yeah, Johnny.
More on Google pushing back against the bubble fears. Google Cloud proved that AI is starting to generate real cash. Their quarter 1 revenue surged 28% to $9.57 billion, and operating income skyrocketed from $191 million to a massive $900 million, signaling that the enterprise inference demand is finally paying the bills.
Yes.
You know, what an incredible show. I am going to audit my own software subscriptions to cancel anything I'm not actively using because I don't want to be part of the unsustainable burn rate. To the team at Google Canvas, we know you're watching. Our students are hungry to master this. If you want to partner with Airhead to create the ultimate Mastering Google Canvas series, here we are. Join us tomorrow as we pivot to Architects of the Future. We'll be profiling the hype master, Sam Altman. Oh, great. As we end exploring the wild trajectory of OpenAI, you don't want to miss that one. Junior, take us out before we run out of time.
I'll give you guys a little sneak peek on what's happening tomorrow. We are going to be profiling Sam Altman, and just a little sneak peek, guys. He's actually been fired 3 times in his startups, and so he was even fired from OpenAI. So just want to.
Can we get him live on the show? Can we get him live on the show tomorrow?
You know what? I think he's caught up in court, but we'll be able to get a representative if he's actually. We'll ask the judge to excuse him for a minute or two. All right, AI Johnny. So guys, thank you guys for hanging out with us as always. These classes are always going to be free live. If you actually join us on live, you can ask questions on Zoom. Sign up for free Airhead Institute.ai account, RSVP to all our shows. And if you want reminders, you can RSVP to get those reminders. If you actually are a paid member, you can actually come to our AI office hours Wednesdays, which is today, between 3 and 5 p.m. Get support anything AI related, ask any questions AI related. We also do AI Airhead after school as well for your kids. Invite a friend by sharing this episode. Replays are available online for a short period of time. Catch you guys in the next one. Later.
That wraps up today's AI Power Up. If you joined late or you're new here, welcome to Airhead Institute. This is your daily destination for mastering artificial intelligence. We designed this lineup for everyone, whether you're a technical pro looking to upskill or you just want to chill and learn something new on your lunch break, we've got you covered. Our classes evolve every single month, so you're always on the cutting edge. And the best part? It's totally free to join. Once you're in, you can get live tips on your AI projects in our AI office hours and even enroll your kids in our Airhead After School program. Scan the QR code to join the community right now and make sure to like and subscribe at Airhead Institute on all socials. Guided by your hosts AI Junior and AI Johnny, we're here to help you win. Remember, AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will. Don't get left behind. We'll see you next class. Bring a friend.